everybody, I'm High Treason, and this is a review of terminal velocity for MS-DOS computers. It's probably worth me mentioning that there is also an Apple version of this game in existence, but I've never so much as seen it. I will elaborate on it a little in a short while. The game was developed by Terminal Reality. That's right, the studio that brought the world this.
It's great to be in the Empire today. It's great to be in the Empire today.
It was released May 1st, 1995. So what's the physical medium like? Well, how else but a big box? Well, that's nice. Although the publisher stuck this label on it, it can stay there I guess because it will ruin the box if we try to remove it. What a bunch of idiots. I have the Kix XL version. I thought I was ordering a t-shirt. It's version 1.2 of the game on this CD. The manual in this version isn't brilliant, but it does have what you need in it, and it's multilingual, which could be useful if you don't speak English or GTFO, the latter of which I'm not sure is a real language. There's also a thing for registering. I'll have to send that in and get my free game. Plus there's an ad for the upcoming Duke Nukem 3D. Have you ever noticed how the movie name in the screenshot is Slashmaster2? The back of the box is what you'd expect. Writing I can't read due to another label, followed by super fast texture map 3D flight with full 360-degree movement. 9 totally unique planets with 3 levels each and dozens of tunnels. 7 insanely destructive weapons plus many other power-ups. Non-stop air-to-air, air-to-ground realistic combat plus many multiplayer games in specially designed combat levels. Spectacular digital soundtrack and sound effects. Supports modem, serial cable and up to 8-player network games. SVGA support 640 by 480 resolution. 3D rendered full motion cinematics, CD only. Terminal velocity vous entrer dans une toute nouvelle dimension aux vitesses. Oh, hang on, that's in French, I believe. Yeah, so we get the idea. This thing looks pretty kick-ass. Well, enough of that. Let's try this out. I'll be using my Pulsar 16 system for this review. This machine I usually run demos from is getting a minor upgrade in the near future. The CD seems to insert just fine, so how about getting it working in DOS? Well, it's easy enough providing you know how to use the OS. I wanted to show you this just to point out how much I love the old 3D Realms installer. It always reminds me of when I played this for the first time. I also like the way you can install shareware games from here. Remember when games came with shareware? Now that was good marketing. We didn't mind that because we felt like we were getting free stuff. Hey look, there's a shareware of Terminal Velocity on here. What? The setup program is simple enough and most sound cards and game controllers from the time are supported. I should add that the GUS is supported, but it's a bit lacking in my opinion. I'll show you what I mean soon because that's the sound card that's in this machine. It could be a driver issue though, and I haven't really looked into it that much. It's probably worth noting that the stereo channels are inverted for all sound cards that support stereo. The sound test sounds like elevator music, and you'd better be careful if you press the spacebar, because if you hold it while the loop starts, it'll just cause the sound to loop over and over and over again, which is great for annoying parents. No! Ah, no! Somebody please make it stop! You can change even more settings in the options menu. If you've got a real DOS machine and a Pentium like this one, you can max them all out, though it might slow down a little on a 486 or DOS box. But it's nice the devs left their suggestions in braces here. It's also worth noting that it will take advantage of a Pentium processor, so you really should have one of those if you want to get the best out of the game. You can also alter the sound setting here. I recommend this as very low by default, probably to stop noobs from bursting their eardrums. I have to leave it on mono, but I'll use stereo for now just to show you what happens with the Gravis. There are 3 episodes, usually consisting of 9 levels, except the last which has 8. There are a total of 27 levels though, go figure. You have to enter a name and a call sign. Forget name entry, the game refers to you by your call sign, and if you don't enter any, you get John Vow and Iceman respectively. And then it tells us a bit about what we'll be facing in these levels. This got me pumped to blow at least one of each one of these things up, those trees included. No kidding, everything explodes or burns to a point that should be physically impossible in this game, and it's incredibly loud. Play it with a joystick and high volume and it's really fun. When I was 5, I used to do this and keep a note of my coordinates as displayed in the heads up display and attempt to destroy every tree in the level. I've never managed to do it. There are a lot of things going on. Everything wants to blow up your ship, which I recommend doing at least once because the explosion is pretty good. There are objectives, just follow your radar. You can adjust the HUD, view mode and crosshair a little here too, making the distance counter go down. The objective box gives you an idea what your target is, usually something big and explodable. Occasionally it's just a checkpoint. These stop you going the wrong way, though exploration is often rewarding. Check this level out, there's a picture of the developers hidden. Cool. Other times it's tunnels. These were a cool mechanic. Oh, and you can't save in a tunnel. I find that a little odd, though I'm sure there's some kind of technical reason for it. Once the objectives are done, you should find the dun and fly at it, ending the level, though there's no time limit and the radar always directs you back so you can explore as much as you want. Each episode has 3 stages, usually with 3 levels each. The last one in each stage has a boss. There's some variety here, and some of the flying bosses can be a bit tricky as their AI is fairly impressive. It's a shame none of the standard enemy craft had AI like things. The audio and music are cool. There's not much more to say outside of it's full of explosions and techno. It uses mod files for its music, so it has that demo scene-ish quality. Unfortunately, my Gus doesn't like it and messes up. But nothing else I own has problems, so neither should you. There are polygons and I think even a few voxels here, but you want to know something really weird? Quake is often credited as the first game to store its level geometry in 3 dimensions. Well, I think this game actually does that and it was a year earlier. Don't take my word for it though. Overall, the graphics are rather impressive, though I think some high-resolution textures look a bit out of place. It may be worth noting there's a floppy version of the game which lacks high-res, despite the option being there. It looks quite different in places, though is otherwise identical. Both versions are very eye-catching for 1995, and I believe the shareware version was around 1994, so you can imagine what it was like seeing something like that back then. I installed mine from a Duke 3D shareware, back when I played it for the first time. Now the Apple version. I don't have it, nor do I have any footage of it, but as far as I'm aware there wasn't any major differences beyond being able to select higher resolutions. I'd really love to see this version, and if somebody has it, upload some footage of it. Go on, it'll be cool. There's also an S3 Verge accelerated version available via patching. I should probably write that I wrote accelerated in italics in the script. I'm not going to show you that, and there's no good reason to install the graphics accelerator like that thing in my machine. It'd ruin it. Just imagine the DOS version running slower than usual with some crappy filtering. It's not worth it, beyond its technical novelty. Hardware acceleration in 1995 was a rarity though, so it's fascinating in its own right that they'd thought to even implement some. To summarise, this game is certainly unique enough, although it has a Descent-like vibe. Sadly, it does show that the developers neglected it a little, mostly for Fury 3, and unfortunately it isn't on the tip of people's tongues when they talk about classic DOS games. I feel that overall though, the game's mind-numbingly fun, and it's a classic in its own right. So let's try and score it. I don't believe the graphics could have been much better at the time, though some of them are a bit mismatched and the secret levels tunnels look a bit crap in places. Mostly though, they're well above average for 1994 and 1995. It's nice to look at, so my overall score for graphics is 18 out of 20. The sound is good too, it fits with the game and its style very well. Unfortunately there's that problem of reversed stereo with no option to fix it, but I won't judge it too harshly for the GUS problem as they likely didn't have one of those to test the game with. Should have asked some sceners, they'd have done a better job. Still, a good effort for the most part, and overall I scored the sound at 15 out of 20. The atmosphere is surprisingly good and has some variation. At times the game's a total blast that you speed through mindlessly, but other times it can be tense and dark, making you feel weary of what you're going to meet in the darkness at the next checkpoint, and urging you to slow down a little bit. That seemed quite impressive for an aerial combat game, so overall I score the atmosphere at 17 out of 20, surprisingly good. The story is there if you want to read it. It's a story, and in this type of game it's not something I'd really care about. It seems they did put some thought into it though, and it's good enough to follow. It's nothing special, but it can't be flawed. The design is good overall, though there are a few edges that are a bit rough, and one of the tunnels is guaranteed to make the game crash. I'll give story and design 18 out of 20 because it's mostly awesome. Controls and gameplay are awesome. This could not have been done better here. The controls are simple and the gameplay leads you wanting more. It's an experience that you want to have, so I'll score controls and gameplay at 19 out of 20, which brings the total score to 87 out of 100. I'd recommend trying this game out if you can get hold of it. It might not be realistic, but it isn't supposed to be. What it is meant to be is fun, and that's exactly what it is, with some nice graphics and original ideas to boot. Unfortunately, it seems to be a somewhat dead genre now, and aerial combat of this sort, I liked it, and I missed the techno blasting and tree exploding, and come to think of it, more exploding. Just games like this, and I want more. If you are interested in buying it, I do believe it recently became available on GOG.com, so it might be worth searching for it on there, as I don't believe it to be very expensive. In fact, I think it was about $5.99 last time I looked. Well, I think that just about concludes this review. Don't know what I'll do next. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you didn't, why the hell did you stick around until the end? I mean, that makes no sense. Either way, feel free to leave me a comment, let me know what you did or didn't like, for example, or just say something, or not. It's entirely up to you. I'm High Treason, and I will see you later.